Well, hi everyone, this is Ella Marie Francisco. Today I have a little bit of a story and I have a guest. We're going to talk about the invisible world today and how uninvisible it really is. I'm going to tell you a little story about what happened to me one day when I went to a sound bath. Like I'll be minding my own business and I'll suddenly hear spirit say, go find a sound bath. And then I'll look up going, wow, really? And they'll say, yes, go find a sound bath. So then I'll pull open whatever event thing I can find online and I'll figure out what's going on in town or in the town that I'm going to be in next. And I hope that I'm going to run into something that works. Well, sure enough, on my way to do a show in Calgary, I had a couple of days to kill. So I thought I'll go to Cochrane. It's southeast of Banff on the way to Calgary. So I figure no big deal. And then you can drive along the foothills and you see all kinds of really beautiful landscapes. I decided to go to the sound bath. It's in a crystal shop. It's in the actual shop. And I'm thinking it's going to be the best thing ever. And I'm going to see my spirit guides because usually something wild and supernatural happens to me in a sound bath. Like I once saw one of my directional beings on his knees picking up juniper berries. So I took that as, a hint in a very big way to do something with juniper berries, to say the least. It's also symbolic for a lot of other things. So here I am, really loving the idea that I'm going to be able to connect to whoever wants to talk to me, and I'm going to be lulled into this beautiful hypnotic sound. So I'm in this shop, and suddenly, instead of feeling like fantastic, I'm feeling like I'm really stirred up. Every sound in the room is bothering me. There's things going on at the front. I'm hearing noises that are just like nails on a chalkboard, and I'm having a really, really hard time with it. By the end, I'm kind of lipping off to the guys in the store. Like, it was so unusual. In fact, after the sound healing, it was so upsetting that I sat in my car and cried. My son was sitting in the passenger seat because he didn't want to go in for the sound bath. So he's like, no, I'll wait here, Mom, with the dog. Oh my God. So I come out. I'm supposed to be like, guys, oh my God, it's beautiful. I'm like, I'm so out of sorts. It isn't even funny. So I'm literally crying, sitting in my car, just sobbing my eyes out. So I go back to my hotel and I spend the night. I get ready, finally get to work. I get into the area where I'm setting up my booth. I see this gal, Kimberley. And I know that she has an ability to be able to see things that might be hanging around your space that aren't really you and that don't really belong. So I said, hey, Kimberley, can you take a look at me? I had something odd happen to me yesterday and I wouldn't mind if you just take a look at me. And she touched my hand, like almost like a tapping, like she was checking for something. And sure enough, she is like, yeah, you picked something up along the way. So she thought I picked it up literally off the roadway as I was driving by somewhere random. And I'll tell you what, it changed my personality. Like I became not me. It was so uncomfortable. I was so agitated no matter what. It was really interesting to see that the influence of this invisible thing could be such that it changed my personality and made it really obvious to anybody that was around me. Thank God. I run around with a bunch of talented people when I'm doing these psychic fairs, and I meet some people who can see some of my blind spots. I mean, we all have blind spots. So she worked on me, and honest to God, I just know it worked. It worked immediately, and I was relieved forever of whatever this thing was. I couldn't even get a look at, but definitely had an impact. So I always say, if you don't feel like you, then something's around you that isn't you. And there are ways to deal with that energetically. I would like to introduce you to Kimberley, who does really have some very magical ways and some very good vision. Her third eye is very much intact, and it's really amazing to see how everybody's got a third eye. Either you know you do, or maybe you don't know you do, but eventually, even if you're a creative, there's all kinds of ways that you would have a third eye activation. That's another topic. Needless to say, we all have a third eye, and it's amazing how people put theirs to use. And you put it to use based on your own experiences, where you've come from in as a soul, lifetime to lifetime, wherever dimensional places you've hung out in. Or we're going to introduce Kimberley and share my conversation with her, with you. And you're not alone out there if you feel the presence in your house or you feel it in wherever. Your prickly spidey sense picks up. You usually know. Kimberley, she's out west in Canada. She is a psychic advisor. She also does energy clearings and healing. She's even got her own tarot deck, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Your own tarot deck. You've written books. So I wanted you also, Kimberley, to maybe just say a few words about some of your background or things you'd like the viewers to know about you. And welcome.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I got involved in the energy work beginning of 2000. I took my Reiki courses, and then I also had someone tell me that I was pretty powerful with the third eye, not knowing, right, the whole gamut, what was behind that. So after I took the Reiki, it was about 3-4 years later, I was asked to do a house clearing. This friend said that they had a heavy entity in the house. And what they explained was that it was a little girl. And when she first showed up, she was really fun. She played with a cat. One of the girls could see. And so the spirit was fun. And then what happened at the end, it got really nasty and mean.
So was there anything that they could tell that was going wrong? Is that why they called you, basically?
Well, because it got mean, they started getting angry, depressed. The cat was getting scared.
Oh.
And so it was the beginning of an understanding why and how spirits get stuck here, and why after time the energy gets heavy. So they asked me to come and do a clearing, and I was shaking in my shorts.
Were you?
Honest to God, I was. I threw a whole bunch of soda light in my pocket. I had a good chat with Archangel Michael. I asked the angels to be at their place before I got there, and they showed up. And my first house clearing was spirit guided. So I went clockwise through the basement and then the main floor. I had no idea what I was doing. So when I got the sage going, I also went into Reiki mode, not knowing what I was doing. So the whole time I do clearings, I'm in energy mode, right?
Right.
And I had the sage going, but we did get the house cleared. We escorted the little one out. What they shared at the end was that right after they called me, they felt the angels come in.
Ooh.
So you know what? That intention, when we ask for that support, they're there. So they let me know that. And then, we were able to escort the little one out. So what this helped me to realize is that we can become stuck on the earth plane. If a soul doesn't feel worthy of going over to the other side, or if a soul feels like it's done something wrong, it'll stay stuck here. Or, over generations and generations, people would say, well, if you do this, you're going to go to hell. If you do that, you're going to hell. There's no such thing as hell. It's man-made. It's man-created to cause fear. So that was my first experience.
So then how do you feel about that trust that you have in spirit? Like you said, you brought the angels in ahead of time, and then the reports at the scene were that they were there, right? So they knew, so they could feel the presence. So did you get a sense of why that little girl was staying behind? Like, were you able to communicate to her and ask her what her issue was with the location and why she wanted to be there?
No, I very rarely do that.
Okay.
And the now in my mind, what came to me was that, okay, we've got two humans in a house. These two humans can eat. These two humans can play. These two humans can love each other. These two humans can leave the house and go do things. But when you're in spirit form, you can't live the same way.
Right.
You don't have that physical body anymore. And I think what happened was that that spirit did get angry and
Mm,
that spirit was frustrated. Now, I truly believe one of the girls could have helped that spirit out. So there's a lot of times we're beacons. And then when we're beacons, like light, then those lost ones come into our space and they're looking for that help. What was interesting from the time I was a little girl until the time I started doing house clearings, I had horrific nightmares.
oh, did you really?
Oh, big time. I would have, I remember as a little girl, I'd wake up, I was about 10, 11, about that age when we're shifting a bit in age and maturity. And I'd wake up and I see faces all around my bed.
No kidding.
And I had no idea what's going on. And then I would get attacked from under the bed and they would hit my funny bone and they would hurt me. And somehow I blocked that out. But
Really?
as I went on, then when the spirits came in, they would get on top of me and paralyze me. So sleep paralysis. You can't move, you can't scream. All you feel is the stuff coming at you and hurting you from underneath.
Yeah, I've only ever had that happen twice to me. Once was in my house in California years and years ago.
Okay.
Once was when I was in Indonesia and I had a little moped accident. So I was actually
Okay.
injured and I couldn't really walk much. I was really swollen. And I went to bed that night in my little room and darned if I didn't wake up with something pinning me to the bed. I mean, it was so
Oh,
horrifying and
yeah.
it was so dark in there. After struggling a lot to get that off of me, I was able to kind of break free, got up and I ran to the light. When I turned the lights on, I expected to see somebody in the room. Like I thought I was, I thought it was going to go very poorly. And then there
Okay.
was nothing there, no one there. And this sense of, I had no idea what sleep paralysis was. I had no idea, but I did definitely feel like I was under attack. And I guess it was probably because I was vulnerable, right? Like it was energetic
Mhm.
vulnerable. What do you think about that too? Did you feel vulnerable during those times?
I'm not too sure. It's hard to remember. I did see over time, I did see a pattern, and I believe a lot of it was around the moon time, so around the full moon. So that's when those spirits, how full moon people start to go a little wonky and crazy in the hospitals and the police are busy.
Right.
So to me, that's when these lost spirits were looking for the time to go across.
So do you
And
think that you get an idea too? Like, I mean, I know that was your first clearing that you mentioned. So in subsequent clearings, do you find other patterns or do you find similarities in house to house or how they attach or what they do or anything like that?
oh, totally. And I went to the house, I did a clearing, and then I was called back a second time. And when I was called back that second time, I was in Australia and I was going to be back within 2 weeks. And didn't even cross my mind to ask for protection for that family or myself.
Oh, wow.
When I'm asked to do a clearing, as soon as I get that, yes, you're coming over, I ask for protection. I ask Michael to be there for me or for the family till I get there and to be here to make sure I get there properly. So what happened with that one, it was interesting. There was energies connected way back through the line of the mother. Now the mother was, I think she was, oh, I have a hard time with the word witch. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I
Right.
have a hard time because I've seen so many things. There's really good medicine, bad medicine, white magic, black magic. So there was something back in her background, and when I was doing that house clearing, I saw her in white, and I saw her in this with this white cauldron, and it was absolutely beautiful.
Oh,
But the reason why I was being called there was because the little boy wasn't sleeping in that, and not eating properly, not sleeping properly. And it just came to my mind that he was 8 months old. And I don't know why. So when I showed up, I asked how old he was, and she says, well, he's turning 8 months. And then I went to the upstairs. And when I got to the upstairs, in my mind, I could see the black witches. So the ones that weren't practicing the good medicine. Now, what I saw was this little girl. She was practicing, she was learning, but she made a offering to the head one, a child.
Oh no.
I know I'm not that crazy. And this little one had offered this child to this lady, and that was this child in this house.
Oh my God.
So anyways,
Were you talking about a spirit was offering this child?
On another timeline.
Oh my God.
Timeline, or it was in this life. I have no idea. I don't question it. I just.
But you could see it.
Yeah. And so I said, this is wrong. You cannot do stuff like this. This is not acceptable. And I asked Archangel Michael to help me clear that energy. And then I did find something in the boys' bedroom. So I finished the clearing off, cleaned it up, and I also warned them, don't you bother this family again. Did the clearing. By the time I was done, the little boy had woken up and started eating. He was so happy, and he started eating again. I was called back the third time, and the family had moved to Texas due to work, and they needed a clearing because for some reason the house wasn't selling. So I went in, and in the bedroom beside the boys' bedroom, that one witch showed up again, the head witch. And right away, whoop, Michael was right there. And I'm going, what just happened? And he said, she's been warned. And he is
Warned to stop doing her things, right?
Yeah. And she felt like she still had a hold on that family in that house. Can't do stuff like that.
Even though they'd moved, even though they'd switched countries, right? Obviously, they went from Canada to the US.
So on the timeline somewhere, there was something going on, but Archangel Michael did escort her out. And I believe they sold the house after that.
Wow. So I know that when I do clearings, I haven't really gone into the houses to do them. I do them remotely. I'll look at the address. Like if somebody says, oh, I've got something in my house, I don't know what it is. I know there's something going on. I'll tune in through remote viewing, and by asking them, what's your address? You know, like the number of your address and the name of your street. And then I tune in, and I find that I can feel the blocks, or I can see the blocks, or I can see what's going on. Or sometimes I'll see portals or vortexes in the middle of the floor.
Wow.
And then all these I remember once I looked at somebody's house, and I thought, whoa, there's this like giant hole vortex through the main living room floor, and it went into the basement. It was so dark, eh? You're like, what is going on down there?
Oh, wild.
I've had situations where I've done that remotely and sort of tangled with, you know, some things, but I don't know if I've really ever gotten a clear idea of a person being there or whatever. I just feel sort of the energy is off, and I do things for the actual room. But, you know, you're talking about literally exercising essentially the space, right?
Yeah.
You call in the angels, like when you're sensing who these spirits are. I just want to get an idea of like, how do you see these things? Do you see them with your eyes open and they're right there standing in the room, or are you sort of, you know, looking through your third eye and going in that way to?
It's a very strong feeling. So it's very rare. I see once in a blue moon, I'll get an image, but I can feel them. So if I'm going into a room and or I'm having a hard time going into that room, I know there's something in there. Or I'll go into that room and I'm clearing, and then all of a sudden I see it in the corner. So sometimes I get images of maybe a spirit, or I could get images of something in between the realms. So I work with Archangel Michael, so he helps out with human spirits. And blue he works multidimensional. So he's a friend shared to me, Blue is very similar to Michael, but he's working in between the realms. So if there's entities and stuff from the other realms that are causing havoc, Blue helps me out with that.
Okay.
So one of the biggest things too, if we're working with spirits, the idea is that unconditional love. So back to that first little girl, what happened to her? Why is she stuck there? And as you connect with that energy, the idea is to send that Reiki energy out to help that little one transmute, to help that little one go back to the light. And there's times I will say out loud, look, you know what? It's time for you to go over to the other side. I've got Archangel Michael with me. There's love, compassion over there, understanding. There's absolutely no judgment.
Yeah.
And then I will share out there is no hell. I said, God Creator is waiting for you. They've got that help you need and that unconditional love. And by the time I'm done my spiel, most of them have crossed over. Now, once in a while, there might be one that is very stubborn.
Straggler, like a little straggler.
Yeah, is stubborn, pig-headed. And I just ask Michael to bag it.
To bag it? Is that what you
bag
said?
it. So it's like the spirit is put into a bag of white light.
No
It isn't
kidding.
stored out. So in a sense, there is, I don't know how to nicely say it. There's no sense of screwing around. You're not staying here. We're not banishing you, but you're going regardless. So when Michael takes them out, then after that, that's up to Michael and the universe to what they do with that spirit.
It's funny you say that because I know that when I do energy readings on people, like one of my specialties is to be able to tell if there's foreign energy in your system. So if you've got a bit of a Klingon or a spirit that's around you a lot or something infiltrating, I'll be able to tell immediately because I know,
sweet.
yeah, it's pretty amazing, actually. It's really helpful. And so what I've noticed or I've learned over time is that all spirits in the invisible world must follow the laws of light. And the laws of light are through transparent, so to speak, meaning if you tell a spirit in the invisible world, hey, I don't like that you're hanging out on this girl's aura. You need to leave. By the laws of light, you are not welcome here. You are not allowed to attach to another human being, right? Like those are sort of natural energetic codes that people don't realize exist. So once I figured out, oh my God, there are laws of light you have to follow. All I have to do is go, you're not following the laws of light. You must leave now. And then they look at me like, oh, you're right. And then they just go because they know if they're going to get in some kind of trouble in the invisible world by overstepping boundaries or, like Klingons are not a good thing. So it sounds like you sort of do it the same way. It sounds like there's a calling out of sorts and then there's a skirting away, right? Like you can't be here, you find somewhere else to play.
That opens a door, or if we just banish them or kick them out or send them away, they're going to come back. Now, this will take me to another house clearing. I was working in a crystal store several years ago, and a lady came in and she had a picture and she says, look, do you know of anyone that does house clearings? I said, I do. And so she showed me a picture, and it was a picture of her daughter's bed sheet. In the bed sheet was claw marks.
Oh, no.
Something ripped the bed sheet.
Oh, my God.
And I go, oh, Lord, love a duck. And so anyways, went over, I did the house clearing, and the girl was about 17, 18 years old. Now, she has a lot of gifts without realizing it. And what I found out was that there was this animal that kept on coming to her, and she kept on pushing it away and telling him to piss off and not come back. So it finally went, I've had enough.
No
So
kidding.
what we did was work with that animal, and we helped it cross over properly. And with working with her and teaching her how to do it, she was able to grasped what was going on and did what she needed to. And the lady came back, her mother came back maybe a month or two later and said there's been a huge difference. Now able to work with the spirits. So it was
That's
teaching her
amazing.
how to do it properly. Don't shoo them off. Don't tell them to go away. Help them cross over, please, and thank you.
Wanted to ask you, do you see elementals? Do you see elemental energies or little sprites? I guess my question is, are there other things or other beings that you find prevalent in homes, like just hanging out in homes?
There's good ones. There's a
Yeah.
lot of magical ones. So the fairies, when they first got my attention, the bottom of my legs would get cold. Finally realized what that was, and I realized it was the fairy realm. Then my legs don't get cold anymore, but I can feel them. Or you get that sense, that knowing that they're there. And sometimes, a lot of times, you find them in closets and that.
Is that right? I wonder why.
Yeah, so I'm not too sure. They're shy. They don't want to be seen, right? If they're free, if the house is clear, then they're easy to roam. It's easy for them to roam. But there was something with this one house, and I remember they were hiding in the closet because there was something in that room that they were scared of.
Is that right, eh?
Yeah.
So even they'll be in situations where they'll be hiding themselves off, eh? Protecting them.
Yeah, because of the other energies in the house. I can pick up when there's fairies there. About a week ago, I picked up on a sweet little angel after we got the house cleared. The giddiness of her, it felt so good. It was like a young angel, a young girl, and she was just flying through the house. She was so happy because it
No
was now
kidding.
clear. Yeah.
Wow.
Sometimes you get a sense of dragons or the fairies, the dragons, the animal kingdom. You can sometimes tell when there's an animal that's very prevalent for that family that's there protecting them.
It's funny you say that because this past September, I was down in California. I have a house down there. The fires broke out in this mountain community, and I happened to be able to get into the burn zone, which was just like an act of God. So there I'm in the epicenter of, where this fire was burning with the threat that it was coming. The end of the week, I had this distinct impression that as I was leaving my house in the mountain and driving down the mountain to get to LA to get my flight home to Canada, that I could see this yellow dragon that literally just hopped in the car with me and came along.
Oh, sweet.
It was so wild. I mean, I am an Aries, so I'm a bit of a dragon in my own way, but I'd never really had an experience like that before. I mean, I've heard of dragons and heard this and heard that. I've seen visions of them in the sky. I've seen all kinds of things around them, but I've never felt like there was one near me. But here this thing was, and I felt that it was like this giant yellow, feminine. And I felt like at the end of it, it was some kind of reward, it was some kind of it was like some kind of reward or something for going through what I did, right? Like it was this, what do I now have a dragon with me? Like, what does this mean? It felt like I was initiated somehow, like, do you have an experience with understanding the dragons at all?
They're good for protection. So years ago, took a workshop and it was to introduce you to your dragon. And at the end, I go, okay, really?
So you didn't buy it, basically?
Really? No.
Suspicious, little
Yeah, but years after that, and it was a medieval market. There was a fellow across from me at the booth, and he had all sorts of things that he made. And in my mind, I'm going, I know you. I don't know you, but I know you. And then all of a sudden, I could feel along the side of me this big, huge red dragon come out.
No
He
kidding.
was pissed.
What?
He was mad.
What about?
I think it's something to do in the past, but what he needed to show me, he was there. The energy of him was phenomenal. It was so powerful. It took me 2 to 3 days to anchor it in, to understand who he was and what he was. And I reached out to a good friend, Hillary.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I reached out to Hillary and said, Hillary, is this for real? And she says, Dad, she said, yeah. And she sort of sent me a picture of this dragon. And she said to me that him and I have been together since the beginning of Earth.
No
We've been
kidding.
together forever. And it was interesting because, even after that workshop, I did have that trust and the faith that there was somebody with me. Then after I call him Red. And after I met him, I saw him, I go, oh, wow, it's magical. And then I was in a relationship for a couple of years and a toxic one, love and light, lots of lessons. But there was one night where I had this weird feeling, called Michael in. I knew he was there. And then all of a sudden I had two little dragons bouncing around on me,
No
protecting me. And there's
kidding.
something that happened to that person that night in his dream state. And they were protecting me because this guy was being attacked. It was really
And
interesting
because you're so close to him, you would have been subjected, right, to
to
his
that. Yeah.
thoughts. You raise an interesting point because what I do is look at the energetic patterns hanging around people or within them, and I can see where their vulnerabilities lie as a result.
Mhm.
It's fascinating that you could sense that he was being attacked, and I know just being in the proximity around somebody's aura that's being attacked, it leaves you vulnerable too. That's what I'm always saying. Be careful who you're hanging out with, be careful who you're sleeping with, be careful who
Yeah.
you're sharing a bed with, because whatever they got going on around them and in them is going on around you too. Better to just sort of listen to your intuition. Like, did you get a sense that he was under attack before you saw that, like in this relationship, or could you tell that he was tormented, basically?
Yeah, he was a tormented soul. So it was interesting again with the spirit realm is that I had met him through a store I worked at. He asked me to do a house clearing for him, and he lives in a condo, and I wasn't even halfway down the hallway, and I could feel it, and it was just the energy from there was sickening. It was very heavy. So I did my best to clear him and the condo, and it still didn't feel right. So he asked, and I've always guaranteed people if I don't do it right the first time, I'll come back and I'll do it again, but I won't charge you for it.
Right.
And I really should have charged him.
Okay. Yeah.
Back the second time,
No.
I did some more clearing. And then the third time I get a call from him, and he said that he was being attacked and his cat bit him. So he ended up being on antibiotics. So I said, okay, come down to the expo. I was doing an expo in Calgary then. I said, come on down. So what I did, I had him on the table, the massage table, doing Reiki on him. And all of a sudden I saw what it was. So what happened was about 2 years before that, he went out to a piece of property, and this little boy spirit attached to him. And so I seen this little boy spirit, and he was anchored to that property. And then when I was working with him, I saw a story. I don't think we have enough time for that, but I saw the story, what happened to this little boy. And we unhooked him. We cut the cord for him so he could leave that property. And it was really interesting because as soon as we released that sweet little kid, him and Michael were standing there yapping together.
No kidding,
They
eh?
were so excited. And what I realized, because this human who he attached himself to, his energy was so thick and so heavy and so nasty and so bad, because of the turmoil over his life, the chaos, previous lifetimes, this little boy couldn't be seen.
Oh,
So after we released the sweet little guy, he wasn't being attacked anymore. He didn't get attacked again, so it cleared that up. But I did have to teach him how to work with the spirit realm.
you did, eh?
Yeah, because what was happening every time there were spirits around, the cat would come after him or lounge after him. because the cat would
Oh,
see it and he would be just oblivious or try to ignore things.
so the cat would basically get his attention to draw the
Yeah, let's
awareness.
say there's something here.
Unbelievable. But he would attack the guy.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
go
funny.
after the guy because he's like the cat's trying to protect him from
Right.
what's around him, but not realizing it wasn't like I don't think the human realized what the cat was doing and why he was going after him.
Yeah.
So I did teach him how to, that was a soul contract. I taught him how to work with the spirit realm.
So he could become more aware that he was gathering entities around him.
And unconditional love. And unconditional love is a huge part of all this. So it doesn't matter whether we see a demon-like energy, we see a spirit that's so lost that you feel like you're going to throw up, or any kind of energy spirit that gets lost here is sweetheart.
Yeah.
What did you go through? Why are you in this state? And
Right.
that's why
Asking.
and that's why the Reiki energy is really important.
So then when you're doing a Reiki, are you doing it on the house as well, essentially? Or are you running energy through the house and through the physical bodies in the house? Or what's your approach? I'm curious.
My approach is I had a 2-hour clearing on Saturday, and they had 9 people living in the house.
Wow.
So with each one of them, what I do is I start with making sure there's nothing attached to them. If there's something attached to them, we cross it over. So I go through every member in that house to make sure that their energy field's clear. When I get my sage going, I also go into Reiki mode. And as I'm doing the Reiki, the sage also helps me to pick up on imprints. So imprints could be anger, sickness, anything that was left behind in that house, or anything that's been created in that house. So say if I stood in one spot and you're here and I started screaming and yelling at you over nothing, I leave an energy imprint in this spot, and it's anger. So as I'm going along, I'm doing the Reiki. The sages like enhances the spidey senses by a million times. And as I'm going along, we're transmuting all the imprints. If we come to a spot where there's lost spirits or things stuck in there, then we stop. We work with that. We escort that out and make sure Michael takes them out. So sometimes it might take me 2-3 times to go through a room to totally clear that room.
Wow.
It's amazing. That 2-hour session really tuckered this old gal out, but there was a lot going on in there.
Wow.
So it's not just the lost spirits, it's also entities and other stuff in there. So that house on Saturday, I went into this one room, and it was so heavy in there. It was interesting because one of the fellows I worked on tried to clear him. I knew there was something around him that was really heavy, but I had to be quiet till I could figure out what was going on. So it was actually a spirit or entity in that room, in his office, that was creating that. So when it was all done, his energy, he felt like a teddy bear again.
No kidding. It can turn you really negative if you've got something around you, right? Like, I mean, you get a sort of a sense that some things can influence your mood. It can do all kinds of wild. I remember when I was like my son, when he was really young, he had a medical condition. So it was really hard for him to be in his body, So I would watch his eyes change, and then I would see like something else in his body. I started to really be aware of how predatorial the universe is, like how literally predatorial the invisible world is, and how inappropriately they show up. So I knew that, I guess, like somehow there's always somebody trying to get around us. I guess that was where I started to decipher if something pierced through your auric wall, then you had a really big problem, because they were running amok in your actual system. If they were just hovering around and, throwing negativity at you or wishing you, ill will, I often pick up on that sort of hovering around the aura, right, as some of the energy hitting the field. So it's like a really interesting visual way of being able to tell whether somebody was under attack or not. But I also started to realize there's just a lot of disembodied beings out there that wouldn't mind a chance at your body.
Oh, that's right.
When I started to put together how, the third eye, you could get through these channels. I would sometimes see little corridors through the third eye, and I would think, oh, if I take a left, I'm going to go see this. If I take a right, this is what's going to happen. So I sort of started to realize, oh my God, things can come in through those portals when we're astral traveling. Like, a lot of us will go out into our futures to make sure we're okay. And we come back into our bodies, and, during those astral travelings, your physical body is extremely vulnerable lying in bed, and you're out there. Some of our most vulnerable periods throughout the day are actually when we're asleep, trying to create our futures. So I started to work with grounding myself. And I do this with people who they've got nightmares. Like, often if you've got recurring nightmares, it's usually something going on, to me, in the astral, or something psychological that's clearing through the astral. You're trying to clear it through the timelines. So I used to do these exercises where I would like run my earth and cosmic energy, where I would open up the channels in my feet, bring in earth energy, hold it in my womb. And then I'd open up my crown chakra for cosmic energy and pull that down into my womb. And then I would take both those energies and then I would spew it up above my auric wall and up above my crown chakra and let it just sort of rain down around me, with the intention of fortifying my energetic system, fortifying my auric wall, and also grounding my body in the physical world before I left my body into the spiritual world. So once I started doing those kind of techniques, I never, ever, ever felt like I was under attack again. Never really had anything go wrong in my sleep again. I'm curious, is there anything you do in the part where you complete the energy clearing of the house to help tone it? I see auras around houses too. So I'm just curious, like, do you have techniques that you use?
Once they're all done, once we're all cleared in that, what I do is I put a grid around it. So I create an energetic pillar in each four corner. And then I create that wall around the pillar. So I see it from corner to corner of the property. And then the idea is that pillar is to go up into above the house, into the sky, and to go down into Mother Earth. And once that energy is balanced like this, then I know we're done. Sometimes too, for some people, it's also becoming more aware of what they're capable of doing, or sometimes. So Saturday, when I started, there's a little boy there, he's 10 years old, and he let me know he was a strong sensitive, and he was just crying. He was so scared, and I said, buddy, can you come help me out? And I took off my smoky quartz necklace and I put it on him. And I didn't expect him to help me out. He came with me and worked with me. And he, went with me to all the rooms, and I explained to him about Archangel Michael, and I explained about this and that. And for me, what stopped my bad dreams was a piece of amethyst and a piece of selenite in a pouch in my pillowcase.
There you go.
That stopped those bad dreams right there. So the amethyst is a psychic protection. So I suggested that for both the son and the father, because they're strong sensitives. So as I worked with this little boy, it was really cool. There's 2 times. He's the one that picked up that really bad entity in that office room. And he also said, we were in another room and we're talking about Brother Jesus. And it's an East Indian family. And he talked about Brother Jesus, and he said, and he does not judge. As soon as he said that, the whole energy in that room shifted. And I gave him a high five. I said, thank you, dude. So by the time I left.
So he brought in Jesus.
Yeah, he wanted that. Yeah, and it was amazing. And then at the end, because they do have different beliefs in that, I could feel the energy of those beliefs. There's those deities or whatever they believe in, and it was so strong. I was crying. When I cry like that, you can feel the unconditional love so much. It
Yeah.
was magical because when I first showed up and I tried to give him a hug, his arms were straight down. When I left, I'd asked for a hug. I got a hug, and the other little boy came running up to me. He wanted a big hug too. It was magical, so when you're going in, it's also sometimes people can still be connected to a house. The reason why I do look after the imprints and that, because it could be previous families that were in that house that left things behind or imprints behind. So as I'm working on the house, I also bring that love light creator energy into the house out through any of the cords that are connected to that house that are not of the highest good.
Oh,
So
so you can see, so you can literally see the cording too? If you could, or
I
you,
visualize it. Yeah. Yeah,
that,
there was one place northeast of Calgary, and there was a realtor that was connected to the house. There was a mayor of the town, I think, connected to that house. There's all sorts of weird stuff going on, and there was a really nasty, heavy energy, and that nasty energy was attacking me before I got there.
and how did you feel that? In the hours before or minutes
It
before?
was a day or two before. I don't know if I asked for protection. Suicidal thoughts. I was
Oh,
getting
man.
suicidal thoughts. And then I was thinking something before I went to bed. And then I get up in the morning and I go, what the heck? Why am I getting these thoughts? That's not me. And so I connected with a friend. And so what I needed to do was that core cutting. So that love light creator energy top of my head into my heart out through towards that entity that did not want me at the house. Cut that cord and close the portal. So when I close a portal, it's counterclockwise with my hand and I seal that portal in. Then
Oh,
I
is
was
that what you
able,
do, eh?
yeah,
Counterclockwise to seal the portal?
yeah, like this.
Oh,
And I learned that by watching someone years ago because they were opening up a portal and they were going like this. And after I left that house and she said she's still having trouble, I said, you opened up a portal when I was there. Did you close that portal? No, close that portal. So people play with us stuff without realizing what's going on.
yeah, I'll bet. And you can drag in all kinds of stuff. The first
Yeah.
time I ever saw a spirit in a house was, again, this house I have in California. I had just moved into it. It's in the middle of the woods, not very populated, really dark at night, pretty frightening. So I get in, I've moved in, I'm all by myself, I'm up in my bedroom, and there's a little lock on the bedroom door. So I
Mhm.
figure, okay, I'm going to not lock the front door, I'm going to block the bedroom door so nothing can get in. Well, I wake up halfway through the night and here's this man and woman standing at the base of my bed, just staring at me. I'm like, oh my God, like, who are you?
Mhm.
So it freaked me out so much. I didn't get much information. It was before I was really doing any psychic work in the public. So I was kind of
Mhm.
managing this on my own. Within a few days after that, I would see the guy and I would see him and I believe because he got the message that it really wigged me out that he had better boundaries the next time he showed up. So the next time he showed
Okay.
up, he was outside the house on the deck in the front and he was sort of holding his hands up against the window, looking at me. And I was like,
Oh,
I can see
wow.
you. So I'm watching him and I kind of acknowledged, yeah, that's a better distance. If you have to spy on me, do it from the outside. I
Okay.
didn't really want to feel that vulnerable. So this went on, off and on. She never showed up to me again, although years later, my kids would report long after we'd moved out of that house that there was something that would look at them. Like my son was afraid to go into one of the bathrooms because this woman would always look at him, in the
Yeah.
mirror. They never mentioned it to me. I never did see her much again, but I felt like he was watching because I was renovating that house. I mean, the house had sat pretty much abandoned for years before I.
Oh,
And
no.
then it was one of those houses that was notoriously a problem for, like, all the realtors had names for it. It was just like nobody ever wanted it and all the rest of it. But I had the vision. I could see what it needed.
Yeah.
So slowly over the years, as I worked on that, I would every once in a while I would feel this guy, but it wasn't until years later when the guy who lived across the street just sort of let it slip that he had built the house that I now owned with a
That
friend
makes
of
sense.
his.
Yeah.
And they had traded off. They had both built each other's houses with them. So it was like this husband and wife team and this husband and wife team. And I figured out that they had died in a car accident, those people.
Oh,
And
no.
they kind of died young. And that was sort of the vision that I had. Like they were sort of middle aged. They weren't really old. So I feel like because that guy built the house, that he was always attached to it. It held a special place in his heart. So I think when I started raising the dead there, as far as getting rid of all the problems in the house and fixing it, that I feel like they were watching because they were curious to see what I would do, you know.
Okay.
And then I found that if anything ever bad happened at that house, it was usually like not as bad as it could have been. Like, you know, there were floods, but it wasn't like I got home before the whole house flooded, or there were fires, but I got in there to protect it, or things
Yeah.
like that. So I feel like even though it was an odd start to that house, and I was sort of nervous about who was, and that was where I had the experience where I was, the sleep paralysis stuff.
Hmm.
Oh my God, there's something in this place. And then I do know that there were a lot of people, whoever would stay in that house would usually, I wouldn't say much about it, but sure enough, they'd spend a night and the next day they'd start talking about something, some weird dream that they had. I've had other people have sleep paralysis in that house. I've had people see
Okay.
things, so it's like, like I used to think, oh, maybe there's a vortex at the top of the stairs. Like I started to see, oh, this house has got some mojo, and I'm not sure it's all good mojo.
So and that's what happens when that spirit, so from what you said, they died too young. And it was like he was still attached to that land. He did not want to let go. And again, if that spirit stays there too long and nobody's helping him to cross over, then he's going to plague people with bad dreams or make them feel uncomfortable and stuff like that. So once in a blue moon, I'll get a call to do a house clearing because a property can't be sold.
Yes, I've
Nobody
had
wants
those
that.
too. Yeah,
Yeah.
tell me about those. Those are
Yeah,
fun.
so you go through that and you clear that, then all of a sudden the property's ready for the new person to move into.
Yeah, it's
But
true. I've
yeah.
had stuff like that happen too, where people will say, "Hey, it's been on the market for months and it's better priced than all the other condos in the building, and we don't understand why this isn't moving, and can you check?" And same thing, like I'll do the remote check from afar and go, "Yeah, there's something."
And I do suggest, like, if somebody buys a new house, or even if they build a brand new house, that land and property really should be cleared before they move into it. So you can get, lost spirits that are attached to that land. Somebody could have passed away on that land and still stuck here. You get imprints from the builders, the construction workers in that house. So every house should be cleared as
Yeah.
soon as it's built. If it's sold and you buy a house that was previously owned, that house should be cleared before you even start. So there was one in Cochrane where the lady asked me, right, to clear it as they're moving in. So I went through but as soon as I came to the kitchen counter, I could feel this. I can't even remember the feeling. I think it was anger. It was a sense of I'm losing this. I'm sad. Why did I lose my home? And
Wow.
and I explained that to her, and all of a sudden she yelled out to her friend that was upstairs, "Did you just hear what she said?" That was the exact same feeling the new owner got. Because it was her first time house that she owned on her own with her children. And that feeling is like, I'm going to lose this. And
No
no,
kidding.
it was that energy that was in that house.
So she was picking up on it like it was an impressionable force, like
Yeah.
she was taking it on. Just like when you felt that other entity and you started to have suicidal thoughts, that wasn't even
Mhm.
you. Isn't it
Yeah.
amazing how sensitive we are without even
Yeah.
realizing it? We can just adopt whatever's in the room.
Yeah. And this last one I did, even though I asked Michael to be with them and protect them, I could not go on the day that I booked them in because I always send a message first to make sure they know I'm coming. And she did not get that message. It did not show up on her phone. So I waited right till 11 o'clock. She gave me a call right after. Are you not coming? And I said, sweetheart, something's going on here. And did you not get my message? No, no, no. And so I had to do some clearing before I even went to that house. And there's several times I've been attacked before going there,
Yeah.
going to a place because whatever's there just does not want to go.
Yeah. I had a situation a little while ago where a bunch of
Mhm.
back-to-back readings all day long, and I'm not usually infiltrated at all. I'm doing these readings, and all of a sudden I'm aware because I'm in the field, right? So I'm aware of everything going on. I'm really looking at it all. And all of a sudden I feel like I'm under attack. And I'm thinking, and I got the worst headache. I mean, it was really bad. And I could feel something like trying to pull me out of my reading all the time. And I was like, this is so unusual. Like, what is this thing? I feel like it was somebody else's entity just messing with me, trying to get me off my center or pull me off my focus. And but I never had to sort of work double time in a reading to command for my space. It was like
Yeah.
really weird. It was not pleasant at all. And it took me a little bit to realize, oh my God, that's what it's like when we're under psychic attack, when I'm not in the field, right? Like, I mean, when I'm doing readings, I'm going into the field to look. And I'm thinking, whoa, if I wonder how I would have felt if I weren't doing readings. Like, I think I would have still felt under attack all day long. Like, it was just the craziest
Yeah.
headache I've ever had. So I figured, all right. So I know myself, like, if I start to feel like unusual amounts of pain or something like out of nowhere, I'm like, oh, it could be something. Oh, and remember when you had to clear things off of me last year, remember?
Yeah.
Okay, do you remember what you saw? Because I know for me, that was such an unusual experience because I guess I should set this up. I went for what I thought was going to be a really good sound healing, and I felt
Mhm.
like I needed surrender, right? Like I feel like tonal ranges work really well for me. So I was like really open and really, take me, I'm yours kind of a thing. And then by the end of it, I felt so different. Like I didn't even feel like myself. I mean, I had such extreme reactions to it. And then I remember I was crying unconsolably. Like it was just really weird. So I didn't know what happened, but you were able to sort of look at me and figure that out. Do you remember what you saw, or do you remember what you were feeling when that happened? Or
All I can remember is I know something jumped in and I couldn't figure out whether it was before you got there or it happened there. So it was almost like something just jumped right in. And again, that love and light, and sending the Reiki out to transmute it and escort it out with Michael. But yeah, I remember that. And I remember how you felt that morning.
oh my God, it was a
And
mess.
yeah, and
Mess.
that when my personality changes, and that's happened a couple times in this place, I go for a walk and I come home, and all of a sudden I felt like a male. I'm 100% female. I felt like a male energy, male thoughts. I go, oh Lord, love a duck. So right away we crossed them over. But whatever went behind you, that was a naughty one. Like that was a heavy, heavy, heavy spirit.
And I thought it was so weird that because the sound healing is so high frequency and high vibration. So I remember feeling like it was so strange. Like I went and I was really combative even during the healing. Like it was really funny. Like I was giving the guy a hard time. I was like, oh my God, I'm being so mean. Like, what is up? You know?
Yeah.
Just felt like I was losing control somehow, right? Like, I mean, the emotional part was just really bad. So I had to wonder if maybe an entity had attached to me and then the music range, the tonal
It
range,
helped to
healing.
get you to realize there was something there because that vibration is so high and this energy is so dense and heavy, and it irritated it. It
Yeah.
really irritated it.
Yeah. Like I was channeling it through my mouth. Really, I was like a living proof of it. But yeah, that was frightening because I mean,
Oh
I didn't
no.
feel it, right? I mean, as aware as I am and hypersensitive to my environment, I didn't feel it at all.
Or, either, like I said, either that could happen before that, before you got to the place, or you could have been in that place and they see your light and you do have a beautiful light, sweetheart. And that thought, okay, this is my chance to get the duck out of here.
Right.
So it could have attached to you there. So
Okay.
you may have been its way out, no matter whether it's on the road before or it was actually in that building.
Yeah. 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 I was amazed. And you just,
Yeah.
and you had a little technique, like you were, I think you were, weren't you tapping on me or something? Or there was something that you did where I thought you took my hand and you were checking something on pulse points. Is that my imagination?
No, I could have maybe held your hand, or usually I have my hand on a person's shoulder.
Oh, okay.
But if you felt pulsing, that's not something I'm aware of.
Oh, okay. So
And
maybe,
I have heard that before doing the energy work where they can feel, my hands doing weird things, but
but you're
it's,
not even touching them. Yeah.
yeah, and it's our team. We could have really beautiful beings work through our team,
Yeah. And
through
when you
us. Yeah.
see Michael, I'm curious, like, how do you see Archangel Michael? Because he's appeared to me a few times in readings, and it's usually when I'm working on some kind of grief with people, where they've had a lot of grief or they've lost somebody and they haven't been able to process the grief. So they're really heavy in their emotional world and their emotional body. And then I've seen, what I thought was Michael show up. But do you see him with certain colors or anything like that?
No,
Or,
no, I just feel his presence.
okay.
I
Yeah.
feel his presence. It's just, and that trust and faith. I think for me, a lot of time it's that trust and faith. And I say, okay, Archangel Michael, can you please be with me before I go?
Yeah.
As I go along the roads and that. So it's that trust and faith and knowing he's always there, right? And then
Yeah.
sometimes if I'm doing a reading, you can see him behind that person, and it's just that instant knowing you've got Michael beside you. And to me, he's a lot to do with protection
Yeah.
and being that support for people.
Yeah. Yeah. I see him as pretty massive, right?
Hmm.
When I
Hmm.
see them, when I see angels, they're usually pretty massive. So, and I can sometimes feel their wings as they're around me. Like I can hear the wings moving. Like it's such an interesting
Oh,
sound. It's so
sweet,
amazing. Eh? Like I'm
sweet.
like, whoa, show me more. Is there anything else you want to mention or anything else that you could give as advice to people as far as, what to do in their own environments to ensure they're not bringing in some,
Yeah, there's a lots to do with drinking and drugs. That's one of the factors.
you see that?
Alcohol, especially the alcohol. The other drugs like that can bring in entities. When people are working as nurses and doctors, paramedics, police officers, they can bring home stuff all the time.
Yeah,
And it's just because they're beacons, they're service workers, they're here to help out. And it is interesting because they do bring stuff home. And as we're working with them, it's just, teaching them, if you feel something different, channel God creator energy, because I was doing energy work before I took Reiki. And you channel that into your heart and you send that love out. And that love in our heart is so powerful.
Powerful. It is
Oh, big time.
powerful.
And when you beam that love out to whatever's around you, and that love, that compassion, and you call Michael in, he'll help you escort it out. And all it takes is practice and having that faith. So I know if all of a sudden, if, okay, you're doing good, and then all of a sudden you feel angry, depressed, you want to bite somebody's face off, you're not yourself. Like you and I, you feel like a different person. There's something in your space, something you need to pay attention to. Don't ignore it.
Yeah.
Don't ignore it. Take that time. If you have a hard time shifting it, then call out to a practitioner that's going to help you out.
Yeah. And I find that burning sage does a lot, right? Like, especially if you've got it with the intention of, I'm releasing what isn't mine, or I'm cutting cords to things that I don't want to be attached to, or I'm not the welcoming party to the dark world.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. It makes a big difference. And I've seen demon energy around people. I've seen a house that I was in, and I was going to try to rent out the basement. There was somebody had moved into my place. And long story short, one day I came in from the back and I seen this dog come up my steps and he had red eyes. I knew he had that demon-like energy.
Ugh.
But I had Michael right beside me and I said, "Oh, sweetheart." And I looked at him and said, "Oh, you poor sweetheart, you poor guy." And I asked Michael to help me escort him out. So what went through my mind is because I found out later that this 1 month tenant was using heavy drugs because I cleaned his room out. I had access to it. I packed it all up and I saw equipment in there. I said to a friend, "What's this?" Over the phone. She says, "Oh, that's for crack."
Oh, wow.
And I went, "Oh, fudge." So he was living in a place where those energies are around. Now, if you have animals in that place where those energies are around, the energy of that animal is going to go beautiful down to very heavy and lost. And, at least I got to help that little guy cross over.
Yeah. Yeah. Good
So
work.
it's
amazing how our gifts grow, your sensitivities continue to grow.
Yeah. And I use the Ho'oponopono prayer a lot too. So with that one, you might be saying, "I'm sorry, please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. God bless." I know I twist 2 sentences in there, but it also has another side to it, is like saying, "I am sorry you're not nurtured and loved the way you should have been. I'm sorry you treated me the same way. I
Right.
love you. Thank you. God bless."
Yeah.
And when we go into that unconditional love, and a lot of times with people, their actions are not acceptable. And it's the same with the spirit. Those actions are not acceptable, but I am sorry you went through that.
Yeah.
And it has a really deep meaning to it, and that unconditional love for that spirit, that human, that makes a big change for all of us and can shift things.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing, eh? Especially with the amount of
Chaos in our world.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so easy to pick up. Yeah, I mean, I see thought forms as energetics, right? So I mean,
Totally, yeah.
when you start to realize how much power and how much weight a thought form has in your field, it can be the thoughts of others that invade you or your own. It's just amazing how we're just so susceptible, right? Like people just have no idea how vulnerable we are
We
in
are.
bodies, and how much assimilates through us, without hardly even recognizing it. Like, to a certain degree, you become, impermeable to the negative energies because you've just outgrown them, right? So I feel like that's where also I tell people, again, be careful who you hang out with, because that person who's a little bit of the bad boy or a little bit of the bad girl, they might be playing with fire, right? They might like those kind of dark entities.
That's
Their
right.
their motivations may be to use the darker energies for things, and meanwhile, it's like, you're better off just asking for the light to help you. It's gonna
Oh,
feel
totally.
better, and you're gonna get further, and you're not gonna have any weird, odd, sick sensations.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think too, some of the experiences I had over the years, because I got into this in around 2000, and I think of over the years and where I was here to where I am now, I think all these experiences also showed me how we can shift and change things and
Correct.
know the world's not that dark. And yeah, we got to be in our heart. And it's been magical. Some days where you're scared to death, and there's some days you go, bring it on, baby.
Yeah.
You don't know who we're working with. And that love and light and our support team and Michael and our guides,
Yeah.
it's magical. And
It's
it's not
true.
to work on your own, it's to incorporate your team and have everybody help out. And I know a lot of people can't see the spirit realm, but they are there and they're very powerful.
I know. I call it like the palpable force. It's just,
Oh,
oh yeah, because I mean, when I feel into the field, it's like, it's always trying to come to me too, right? So I don't know. It's extremely palpable to me. I can feel it. I can feel the wave of support, and then I can feel the waves of interference, and I can
yeah.
way that sometimes the spirit world likes to test us, so it'll bring us these little tidbits of growth possibility. I think it's pretty amazing,
Yes, and
really.
it's magical that you and I can do this work so that we can help other people become more in tune with what's going on around them and
Yeah.
become more empowered.
Right. This is the way our bodies are built, and
Mhm.
our energy centers in our sacral chakra. So I feel like a lot of times people will discount the things that they're feeling, and they'll just override it like, oh, it's nothing, or no, it's not anything. And meanwhile, you literally feel it moving around you, and it's extremely real. So I guess I would say too, is don't underestimate your sensitivities, because we're all extremely sentient, and the brain doesn't always get involved with what we're feeling, right? So
Yeah.
sometimes we don't
Yeah.
really have to think about it. We just know it. But anyway,
Yeah.
I just try to welcome in as many helpful beings as possible, so that, I mean, I'm willing to take whatever help I can get. When I was much younger, I knew that I had sort of invisible supports around me. I didn't really know where they came from or what the purpose of it
Mhm.
was, but I've learned to work with that force better over time. And, I see into it way better. So I feel like, I'm walking around with these like giant beings with me all the time, like, like these bodyguards, so I tend to call them in. I'm like, hey, I don't like where I'm going next. So I'm going to need you to get there first, I'm going to need you to
Yeah.
get the lay of the land so it's safe to show up, so it's
Yeah.
pretty amazing when you rely on it. It can really, you really do see the benefit of it. And if you were discounting, fairies, you wouldn't know about them. If you were discounting anything, you wouldn't know more about it, right? So, and I find that
Mhm.
that's the funny thing. Even the darker energies, they really can't lie, right? Like they can be low level, but they're still telling the truth in the invisible world. And they're like, yeah, I'm here to mess you up. It's like,
Yeah.
thank you
Yeah.
for that honesty. We're going to stop that right now. Like,
Yeah. Oh,
I'm
yeah.
here to slow you down. I'm here to make you sick. I'm like, oh, none of that. Thanks.
Yeah, and it's neat that we can recognize that and become
Yeah.
more aware. So instead of our bodies crash and become sick and depressed in the psych ward, we can totally shift and turn that around and take that power back.
Exactly. And that's the other thing too, is a lot of times people will feel these entities in their homes or whatever else, and they'll think they've got no choice, and you can just go, listen, you don't belong here. By the laws of light, you must leave now, and all of a sudden they're like,
Yeah,
oh, how did you know that? I think it's
yeah, yeah,
good. I just
yeah.
love it.
It's wild. It's
So then
wild.
this is like a pretty big part of your practice now, is it? Like, I mean, doing
Um,
here? lot. You seem to be gaining a bit of a reputation for them.
I don't know about the house, but yeah, the house clearings, but then also doing a reading too. That's where we can connect with, okay, I'm having a hard time starting this reading. Who's in your space? Or it could be that they come in and they pull in spirits with them, and those spirits are looking to cross over. And it's really, really neat, the interconnection.
Wow.
So, the gratitude, the huge gratitude. And with, you do your clearings and I do my clearings. What's really magical is that what the people feel before you show up. And then you got that clearing done and you look at that family when you leave. They were beaming.
Yeah.
They
I'll
were
bet.
beaming.
I
Yeah,
know, because it's hard to be uncomfortable in your home, right? Like
it is.
it's hard enough. You just really want to be safe at home,
Oh,
not
yeah.
be infiltrated, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, the gratitude for, people reaching out and asking for the help. And I really appreciate that big
Yeah.
time. Yeah, I
All
think
right.
like this energy field, I call it a heart song. Oh, thank you so much. And
Yeah, my pleasure. It's so nice to talk to you and get an idea of how you work and what you come up against. And what I find is there's always more to be surprised by in the invisible worlds. And I do like trying to normalize them for people because it really is a world you can call on for amazing amounts of help and protection and insights. And we can make quantum leaps in our own discoveries and our own progress when we're willing to
yeah.
keep an open mind and go, what if there is something here that can help me? Like I said, I'm willing to take help from anything that's willing to help me along.
Of the light too.
Right?
The other
Exactly.
light, right?
Well, the laws of light. Yes, exactly. So thanks you so much. So you're
Oh,
based out of
Cochrane. Okay, and thank you very much. And that yellow dragon, he's there whenever you travel, you're on the road, girl.
is that what
Just
you see now?
he's in the corner. So I don't know what's in that one corner, but he's there. But you can
Corner
also
over
call
here or this corner?
just sort of behind you by the bookshelf. So that energy's there. So call them in. If you're on the road, sweetie, call them in, ask them to travel with you because they're really good for clearing the roadways for you. Oh, big time. They're good protectors.
Okay, good.
You're gonna feel
Why
that.
would they like, do you know why they like to protect us? Like, would you know much about what the deal is with dragons? I mean,
I don't know too much.
no, I
It's
know.
just, I just accept it and I know they are good.
Hmm.
And I know they are showing up. They're showing up a lot more now than they were before. It's
Yeah.
still on an energetic level, but their presence is pretty powerful. So in my mind, when they travel, a friend had a portal on his land in Australia, and the vision I got is that they go through these portals, but when they travel, they're white. So that's why they appear as the clouds in the sky, or they're going from place to place. They're cloaking.
Okay.
So like with our dragons, if there's medicines from other lands that we need or other planets that we need, they'll bring those medicines to us, energy
Oh,
medicines. Just like
okay.
the fairies, they can bring us the earth medicines during the session. So it comes in as an energetic form, but they can bring those medicines in with us.
It's funny you say that because I found a whole bunch of medicines this last time I was in California. And I have had this house for over 20 years. And so I've lived in I lived in the region for many, many, like over a decade. And for the first time ever, I found blue sage up there growing
Oh,
in the mountains.
wow.
Now, it's been growing for decades, right? Like probably hundreds of
Yeah.
years up there. Never once noticed it. But my God, like this summer with the dawning of this, this experience with the fire and then the dragon and everything else, I was like, darned if the next time I went to California a month later, I found medicines everywhere. It was like all of a sudden they were available to me. So it was like somehow in my growth, I was able to notice, oh my God, that's blue sage growing in the corner over there. I was able to find mugwort, blue sage, mountain sage.
Oh,
I
wow.
mean, eucalyptus, rosemary. I found everything I needed to find. I mean, it was unbelievable.
Oh,
Juniper. It was
sweet.
just landing on me basically.
Oh, that's beautiful. So Inca, what region is Inca? Inca native, Inca.
I don't know. What do you mean by
Okay,
like in the world or?
so yeah, so it's something to do with one of the indigenous races, and right on your left-hand shoulder, I can see her. She's tiny, she's smaller, she's a medicine woman.
Okay, and is she surrounded by blue? Do you see her around?
I don't see the blue, but she's
Okay.
there for you big time, and something to do with Inca, and I have no idea what that is.
Oh, interesting. Well, thanks for sharing that. I'm always
Oh, thank you,
uh,
sweetheart.
yes, so much. I so appreciate it. Again, this is Kimberly Buckler, and I really enjoyed spending my time with you and talking shop. And we'll see hopefully each other soon. Well, we
Oh,
will.
for sure.
Thanks a lot for coming into my channel. And thanks again to Kimberly for sharing her knowledge with us about how she clears the unwanted out of our spaces and our bodies. Take good care.